Smith. Never, ever try to switch timelines on a running start. Bad idea. Stupid idea. Why did I do that? Oh, boy. Okay. Good to see you, too. Hey, what's up? Just enjoying my fall break. Are you, doing you're doing your World War I video soon? Well, part 1, yeah. When? Tomorrow, actually. Great! I'll come back. I have a great idea. Yeah? Yeah, I went through some more timelines, and I found the perfect version of ourselves to bring to help out with the video. Yeah? Tell me more. Hi, I'm Mr. Smith, and this is Corona Class. Today, we will be looking at the beginning of World War I. And today, we also have a special guest from a different timeline, Professor Smith.
Hi, folks.
Now, Alt Smith has brought with him today an alternate version of me, who is a historian.
That's right. I actually know history, and not just teach it.
I'm going to ignore that.
Folks, I am so excited to get to tell you about World War I today. World War I, some call it the Great War.
That's right. Now, during the war, nobody knew that there would be another world war, so it was called the Great War.
Yep.
And the beginning of this war is kind of complex, so Prof and I will try to break it down for you as best we can.
Nationalism, imperialism, and militarism.
Competition between some of the major powers in Europe led to some tension between those nations. Germany and Austria-Hungary formed an alliance. They were known as the Central Powers, and once Italy joined, they called themselves the Triple Alliance. In response to this, Great Britain, Russia, and France created the Triple on top.
That's not all.
Nope. Several smaller conflicts in the Baltic left Serbia and the Austro-Hungarian Empire as bitter enemies.
And when Black Hand organization assassinated the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, Franz Ferdinand, Austria-Hungary kicked it up a notch. They threatened war against Serbia unless Serbia met their demands.
Which they couldn't.
And didn't.
But Austria-Hungary knew that Russia would come to Serbia's aid.
So Austria-Hungary made sure that Germany was on their side before they made any different moves.
Because Austria-Hungary didn't have the resources to fight Russia on their own.
So Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Russia declares war on Austria-Hungary. Germany declares war on Russia and France.
And Great Britain was like, I think we'll stay out of this one, old chaps.
Yep. And Germany then attacked Russia.
No, they attacked France first.
They attacked Russia because Russia's the bigger one.
Which was why they attacked France first. It was called
the Schlieffen Plan.
So you know it, how they planned to take France out in like 3 weeks, do a wide swing through Belgium, but then once they went into Belgium, Britain declared war on them and got involved. And
oh, history teacher. That's all wrong.
No, it isn't. I think the professor would know the right thing. No, they attacked France first.
No, that's all wrong.
You got it all
Germany
backwards.
attacked Russia, and then France and Great Britain attacked Germany. That's...
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Thank you.
And I'm right. Wait, what?
Yeah. What?
It's the timelines. History must be different in your timeline. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm confused.
I bet every timeline has different history. I mean, we're all the same person, but in different timelines, and we all do different things with our lives, so yeah, this makes sense.
I'm still confused.
Makes sense to me. All good, dude. Just stick to your history. I guess, like, let's see, let's see how our histories are different.
Works for me.
So, Germany attacks France through Belgium. They think that the Belgians are just going to let them walk right through, get through quickly, and they can surprise the French before the French have their defenses up. And, Professor Smith, what happened in your timeline?
Germany uses the Maxim Plan to attack Russia. They get all the way to about Kiev before the Russians are able to stop them. And then France and Great Britain, they attack Germany, and they move into Germany. and they create the Western Front.
Wow, that is very different.
Yes, and I am so curious about how the war went in your timeline.
Well, feel free to share some of your differences with your history, as long as my students don't get mixed up on which is our history and which is your history.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
So, Germany attacks France through Belgium, which brings Britain into the war. And right as they get into France, the French push back, and all of a sudden, the Germans start to dig in, and now we have trench warfare on the Western Front.
The Western Front.
Well, how did it go down in your history?
Well, it was in Germany. You see, Great Britain and France, they attack into Germany. The Germans try to create defenses. They start digging these trenches, and then those trenches get overrun by guerrillas.
Like, guerrilla fighters?
No, like literal guerrillas. You see, Belgium owns the Congo. Belgium is friends with Great Britain, so Belgium gives Great Britain and France guerrillas to use in war. You know, armored plates and all.
What? I can't tell if you're joking.
I don't jest. I'm a professor.
That's hilarious. Bro, Professor Smith's timeline is crazy awesome. Anyways, what happened in your timeline? Well, trench warfare begins on the Western Front. Then the Russians arrive sooner than anyone thought. Austria-Hungary can't take them alone, so the Germans have to move some of their corps out of the Western Front and send them to the east. This weakens the German line just enough to allow some triple entente victories. Mainly the victory at Verdun, a battle that was bloody and also 10 months long.
That is a long battle.
Yes, well, battles on the Western Front were unique in World War I. While on the Eastern Front, the battle lines moved hundreds of miles every single month, things were very different on the Western Front.
How so?
Well, for one, it wasn't fighting to gain miles, it was fighting to gain inches. Trench warfare meant that even when a battle was won, the battle lines didn't really change a whole lot.
That's very tough.
Yes, it was. The term for this kind of battle is a war of attrition, which means each side is just trying to wear the other side out, be the last side to surrender. And Professor Smith, what happened in your timeline?
Well, the battle on the Western Front was a moving battle from town to town, from city to city. It was very fast paced, and that is until it moved into the mountains. It started to slow down a little bit, but you know, there's nothing a silverback gorilla can't handle.
Again, your timeline is crazy. I know, it is so fun to visit that timeline. Back on the Western Front, war got really ugly really quick. You see, with these new technologies that have been created through the Industrial Revolution and these outdated tactics of warfare, it quickly turned into a competition of which side could kill the other side the quickest with their new technology. This just continued to kill more and more and more people. But at the end of the day, everyone was stuck in their trench.
Which was the worst technology, you believe?
Well, besides the waiting in the trench and being either hit by artillery shells or waiting for the enemy to charge across no man's land, I think the worst technology that was created during the war was probably gas. You see, chlorine gas and mustard gas were introduced into the war, and this is going to kill massive amounts of soldiers very, very quickly. The Germans introduced gas, actually, at the Battle of Ypres in 1915.
Whew! That is horrifying.
It was. Wilfred Owen actually wrote about his experience with gas. In the poem Dolce et Decorum Est, William vividly paints this picture of a soldier in his squad dying, actually drowning to death on his own blood and lung fluid after a gas attack.
And the whole point of the poem was about how there's no glory in this kind of warfare.
Yeah! Wait, how did you know that?
We have the same poem in our timeline, but it's not written about a gas attack. Wilfred Owen was writing about an experience where he watched a gorilla rip the arms off of a German soldier, and the German soldier just laid there screaming and bleeding to death. It was truly terrifying for Wilfred.
What? Okay, take back what I said about your timeline being hilarious.
All good, but gas attacks sound way worse. Your First World War was horrifying.
Yeah, I wish I could say that there was a silver lining, but World War I on the Western Front was really, really horrible.
Indeed, man's ability to create destruction was far more reaching than his ability to control how far that destruction would go.
Cliche, but well put.
So I take it the Western Front was the deadlier front.
Actually, it wasn't. The Eastern Front, with all of its moving around, was actually far more deadly than the Western Front. For the Allied powers, Russia took the highest casualties, and for the Central powers, Austria-Hungary.
Well, in my timeline, it seemed like Russia's strategy was to throw as many soldiers at the battle as possible to overwhelm the enemy, no matter how many soldiers were killed in the process. Is that anything like yours?
Actually, yeah. So the Eastern Front, the death toll was crippling, even though the war didn't last as long there as it did on the Western Front.
Why is that?
Ever heard of Vladimir
I
Lenin?
can't say I have.
The guy from the Beatles? No. That's John Lennon. Anyways, him and the answer to your question will be covered in the next video.
Well, maybe Altsmith, as you call him, will bring me back next time to hear more.
I gotta ask, do the guerrillas do all the fighting in World War One?
Well, no, not exactly. You see, the guerrillas did fight for a long time, but they got very tired of fighting. And in 1917, the guerrillas created a coup against the French and the British, and they ran off into the German Alps. And to this day, this is why hikers sometimes see guerrillas in the Alps that are eating baguettes and drinking tea at noon.
I really can't tell if you're joking.
No, I don't kid. I don't make jokes. I am a professional.
Again, this dude's timeline is amazing. It's so weird. Anyways, let's finish this video.
Sure.
So, World War I started as a regional conflict between Serbia and Austria-Hungary, but it quickly grew into a worldwide war. The Western Front was bogged down in trench warfare,
Where guerrillas rampaged on the Western Front.
not true. The Eastern Front covered a wider expanse of the Eastern European plains, on horseback, in cities, and it was much, much, much more bloody.
Which was surprising because the guerrillas were on the Western Front.
Gas attacks and trench warfare. Good summary, you two. Thanks. Anyways, join us next time to see how World War I will conclude.
And how weaponized sharks fought the German U-boats in the Atlantic Ocean.
Hey. Yeah. This guy right here, yeah, don't bring him back next time.